Welcome to Weedsday Wednesday, Tucson, Arizona's #1 online radio podcast about all things medical cannabis. Your host, Belle
and the Cannabis Kid. Our show features news, interviews, and all the latest information about anything and everything medical cannabis related in Tucson, Arizona, and the world at large.
We'd love to hear from you. Please give us a call live at 646-915-8421. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on all social media, or email thctucson@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Tumbleweeds Health Center and Studio C, along with our many sponsors, for hosting our show every week. With the lowest price certifications in town, you'll find hemp products, accessories, and all things related to medical cannabis education.
Visit Tumbleweeds Health Center at 4826 East Broadway Boulevard or online at tumbleweedshealthcenter.com. And remember,
Be smart,
be safe,
and educate.
Whoa. All right, welcome to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. I am sorry I am late today. Exactly, it's one of those mornings. This is new. Weedsday Wednesday. How's everybody doing? March 4th, 8:15. Yeah. We are here. Just a little late, folks. That's all. I'll still come to you live and read you some news and hang out with you for a little bit. So thank you for being here. Oh no. Yeah. That was my mortgage company. They want to give me a deal. Woo! Welcome to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody doing? March 4th, St. Patty Day is coming up. What do you guys do for St. Patty's Day? Lots of green going on, so there's going to be a lot of weed smoking, green beers, and green weed drinks. It's happening. Stoners are smart. They're going to come up with some creative ideas. All right. Welcome to Weedsday Wednesday again. My apologies for being late. We'll have a little show today, a mini show. But first, before we have that mini show, let's get on over to Tumbleweeds Health Center and check out the certification section, tumbleweedshealthcenter.com. We are now located in I can't even believe it. We're going to be 15 this November. That's amazing. Woo! That's pretty cool. Still love the beginning, the story of the beginning days where we could barely pay our rent. We were living on a prayer, and our landlord, bless his little heart, he forgot to ask us for rent for 2 months. So we had 2 months worth of saving to do to get to our rent, and we did it. And here we are 15 years later. Woo. All right. So get on over, come down and get certified. And pretty soon you'll be able to vote for us for Best Certification Center. And we want to win this year. Let's do this. This will be our 10th time winning for year number 15. So let's do it. Right on. Although they didn't start voting until 2012, 2013, something like that. All right. So if you want to get certified in the great state of Arizona, you don't even have to come down to our beautiful health center and hemp shop. You don't have to come down. We've got telemedicine available. You just click the telemedicine section there, and you click the button that says fill out form here. And there you go. There's a little form. We need a couple things from you, but it's not too painful. If you want to know what you can get your card for in the great state of Arizona, I'm about to tell you. Now, most of these you will have seen a doctor for, and you will have some sort of records. For PTSD, you have to have your own records. That's not anything that we can diagnose. So you have to bring those, and you have to see a doctor every year for that. Cancer, glaucoma, AIDS. Again, you will have seen a doctor if you've got those diagnoses. Just bring whatever records in you have. Chronic pain covers most everything that's not on this list, from migraines, fibromyalgia, leg cramps, menstrual cramps, IBS, all the arthritises, DDD, all your back problems, all your bone problems. Chronic to the state of Arizona means 60 days. So at least it has to be that. You can't just walk in after having stubbed your toe. We're not that loosey-goosey like California yet. Although, you don't need a medical marijuana card. It's just a really good idea to have one, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Severe nausea, seizures, including epilepsy, all seizures, HIV, Hep C, ALS, Crohn's disease, agitation of Alzheimer's, dementia, and everything in between there. It's so weird. Cachexia or wasting syndrome, severe and persistent muscle spasms, including multiple sclerosis. You are eligible for a medical cannabis card if you suffer from a chronic or a debilitating disease or medical condition, or just the treatment for a chronic or debilitating disease or medical condition that causes any of the above conditions and more. So if you didn't hear your condition on this list, don't worry. Things like insomnia, depression, and anxiety, Tourette's, autism, Asperger's, Parkinson's, all sorts of things can be caused by getting treated for any of the conditions that I just mentioned. So if you have Tourette's or let's see, what is it? Asperger's, autism. It can cause all sorts of problems, and they can be on this list. Anywhere from chronic pain to nausea to wasting syndrome. Some of the medications you're on might cause cancer or headaches or seizures, muscle spasms. So you can get your card for actually quite a bit. There you have it.
You suffer from one of these medical conditions and have been diagnosed by an Arizona licensed physician, medical cannabis may help relieve your symptoms. Tumbleweeds Health Center is Arizona's premier cannabis certification, health, and education center. Our primary focus is to help the patients of Arizona obtain their medical marijuana card and educate everyone about medical cannabis. With current medical records, approval is a simple process. Contact Tumbleweeds Health Center to see if you qualify for your Arizona medical marijuana card.
Chronic conditions holding you back from a happy, healthy life? Get on the right track with Tumbleweeds Health Center. Our CBD products are formulated to fit your health lifestyle.
I would definitely say that CBD has changed my life. I mean, I don't worry about my dog anymore, and I don't worry about sleeping anymore.
Tumbleweeds Health Center, #1 health center in Tucson, has created a proprietary number of CBD blends, each designed to promote health and well-being. Let Tumbleweeds Health Center show you how CBD products might help you improve your life the natural way.
Yeah, give us a call, 520-838-4430. You can come down to 6224 East Speedway Boulevard in Tucson, Arizona, 85712 if you're looking that up right now. And you don't have to come down. We offer telemedicine, so you can just sit on your cozy, comfy couch and meet our doctor on your computer. Super simple. Okay. I want to tell you a little bit more about why it's a good idea to get your card. So if you go to tumbleweedshealthcenter.com, hi, Mama Kitty, and you go over to the education section, and you scroll, there's a bit about what is cannabis, what is hemp and CBD, how to use your cannabis. There's a little bit about Arizona medical marijuana law. So if you want to know what's going down in Arizona with their laws, who can possess marijuana, anyone 21 or older can possess up to an ounce in the recreational program. And adults in the household can grow 6 plants each, total of 12 plants per household. So 2 adults in your household can claim your 12 plants. I just read your qualifying conditions and how much medical marijuana can a qualifying medical patient possess. I'll read all this in a little bit. Where in Arizona can you use your medicine? That's a good one. Medical marijuana cannot be smoked in any public facility or public area like schools, parks, buses. Medical marijuana can be consumed in edible form in public areas because no one can tell that you're eating a pot gummy. Persons cannot be prosecuted for being near someone who is legally using or possessing medical marijuana in Arizona. Okay. Adult care facilities can adopt rules for the use of medical marijuana at their facilities. And then what other restrictions do qualifying patients need to know when using medical marijuana? Anyone can get a DUI if marijuana is found in their system, including medical marijuana patients. An employer might not be able to penalize a medical marijuana patient for a positive drug test for marijuana unless the patient used, possessed, or was impaired by marijuana on the employment premises or during hours of employment. The federal government still considers marijuana an illegal substance. So yeah, if you're impaired on the job, it doesn't matter what you're impaired by. But as far as marijuana goes, if you're just stoned out of your mind and you're trying to work, yeah, probably not going to happen because it does happen. Stoniness happens. So don't get trashed and try and go to work and show up and be like, oh, hey, man, I'm here to drive seniors around town. Because this is not going to happen. Woo! We've had some doozy interviews where people have come just baked out of their minds and they walk in and we're just like, oh my God. Yeah, just can't even. All right, medical versus recreational. Here's a brief comparison of those two programs. These are the top reasons to keep the safety of having your medical marijuana card. And you're already in the recreational program if you are 21 and older. So just know that. So if you're 21 and older and you have your medical marijuana card, you're in both programs. Okay. You get better legal protection in the medical program. You get protection against felony fines and jail time. If you're just in the rec program and if you have anything over an ounce or anything over your allowed allotment of marijuana, you're busted big time. In the medical program, you get 2.5 ounces every 2 weeks. In the recreational program, you get 1 ounce, period. End of story. In the medical program, you get an unlimited amount of concentrates every 2.5 weeks. Doesn't matter. This is important because there are a lot of medical patients that need high dosage of oils to get them through their days, minutes. So you're going to need that. In the recreational program, you get 0.5 gram of concentrate. That's it, 0.5 gram. In the medical program, if you live further than 25 miles away from a dispensary, you get 12 plants. There you go, bada bing, bada boom. In the recreational program, you get 6 plants, 12 per household. So that's a good thing. If there are 2 adults, you can have that. In the medical program, they're supposed to be testing for medical safety from a third party. In the recreational program, they get to test in their in-house if they want. So who knows what the test results, if they're really accurate or not. We've had a lot of testing companies on air in the past, and maybe I should try and find one that's doing some testing for the weed here in Arizona now. All right. In the medical program, you get employee protection. So they can't fire you just if you use cannabis. Now, again, like I said, if you're impaired on the job, you're out. But that goes for alcohol, Dilaudid, Vicodin, morphine, whatever else you're on, narcotics. And if you're in the recreational program and you're using weed, you can get fired for that. Period. End of story. Medical program, no limit on edibles. They can take any form and they can contain any amount of THC. And that's important because, like I said, again, if you have one of those conditions that needs a high dosage of oils, then you need to be in the medical program. And in the rec program, this doesn't matter. They're restricted to squares, no animal or fruit shapes, but they can't contain more than 10 milligrams of THC per piece and 100 milligrams of per bag. For most people, that would knock them out. But for medical patients, it's not really a whole lot. All right, here in the medical program, you can keep your gun rights in the medical program per the state of Arizona. Now, it's still federally legal to own a gun and have marijuana on your possession like it is with a narcotic or being in a bar, alcohol, or anything like that. But in the recreational program, you're going to get felony fines and jail time for having guns with your cannabis. And I can say this from I have personal experience. Holy crap-olies. Oh, my Lord. If you own a gun, get your medical marijuana card because you'll be safe then. Personal experience. I'll tell that story another time. Holy cow. In the medical program, there's no THC limit. There's no limit of the amount of THC you can have in your products. Again, in the rec program, you get 10 milligrams or 100 milligram package of something. In the medical program, you are going to spend so much less money. Holy cow, folks. You're going to save so much money. In the rec program, you're paying 25.1% sales tax. Yikes. And guess what? You're in both programs if you have your medical marijuana card and you're over 21. I love that. You know what else I love?
Puff, 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 I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunting, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
Walk into my house like, what up? I got some good pot. I'm just pumped up, got some herb from the pot shop. Ice in the fridge, it used to be frosty. My friends like, damn, that's a stoned ass donkey. Rolling in hella high, looking like it's FIFA time. Dominating all my friends as I eat some chili fries. Draped in a snuggie with my girl sitting next to me. Probably shouldn't have had a big gulp full of iced tea. Piss. But shit, it was 99 cents. I'll be blazing and smoking, about to go and get some munchies next. Passing up on those Cracker Jacks, Reese's Pieces are where it's at. Gotta get me some soda pop. Cottonmouth has been creeping up, but can't remember where I put my keys. Yeah, that's what's up. I'ma take your grandpa's ride. No, for real, ask your grandpa, can I take a 65? DeVille cruising to my local Publix. Nothing better than rolling with two super fly chicks. They have frozen burritos. I bought frozen burritos. I bought some Ben and Jerry's, and then I bought some Cheetos. Hello, my main man Obama. A couple states have just reformed their laws on marijuana. What you gonna do, send the feds there? Hell no, the DPAs will be like, they got volcano.
I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunting, looking for a pot job. This is fucking awesome. I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunting, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
What you know about the science of marijuana? What you know about people suffering from glaucoma? They need it. It helps them with their condition. If you don't believe me, then just ask some eye physicians. Thank your granddad for voting for that guy. Richard Nixon is the president who made the plant illegal. But science is now showing that it's medicine for people, and the private sector's fighting to keep all of that illegal. Alcohol and tobacco, pharmaceutical prisons. I'll take those 4 major lobby groups and fight those motherfuckers. They're making money day and night, all those motherfuckers. And bribing Congress out of sight, all those motherfuckers. motherfuckers. They'd be like, oh, it's immoral and unhealthy. I'm like, how many people are you making wealth? Anti-marijuana lobbies are making all kinds of profits, and they don't want you to stop it because of all the special interest. I call that getting swindled and pimp shit. I call that getting tricked by the government. That law's hella old, so it's time to update it, regulate it, and then get it under state control. Peak game, look into my political telescope. Think it's gonna stay like this forever? Not hella won't. Not hella won't.
Hey, Obama, stop being a hypocrite. You used to smoke weed, fool.
I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunt, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome. Let's end the war on drugs. It's time to pull the plug. These special interest groups are nothing more than corporate thugs. Let's end the war on weed. The people have agreed. These special interest groups have kept these laws with bribery. I'm gonna smoke some weed. Only got $20 in my pocket. I'm a hunt, looking for a pot shop. This is fucking awesome.
All right. Welcome back to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. Whoop, whoop. Putting my little nifty pipe here I got at the Renaissance Fair back on its little stand. Woo! I'm actually going to be selling them. Oh, they're hot. They're awesome. They are Renaissance-y. They look like your Gandalf pipes, but they're beautiful. They're beautifully handmade. I don't know where this company's from. I think Canada, eh? All right. Woo! Welcome back to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. All right. Everybody's talking about the World Cup already in less than 90 days, I guess. All right. So check it out. Jamaica brings it on with Bob Marley inspired jerseys for the 2026 World Cup. Jamaica's national team has decided that if it's going to fight for a spot on the road to the 2026 World Cup, it will do so with a strong sense of identity. According to ESPN, the team unveiled its new Adidas jersey, both the home and away versions, in collaboration with the Bob Marley Foundation, in a move that brings together soccer, culture, and music. The launch is part of a broader collection that includes match apparel, lifestyle clothing, and accessories inspired by the musician's legacy, created with access to the artist's visual and wardrobe archives. All right. The main design draws on the classic yellow of the Jamaican flag and adds details that directly reference reggae's visual universe: red, green, and black stripes, textures reminiscent of knitted garments and woven pieces, and nods to the 70s aesthetic associated with Marley. In addition, the jersey also features direct references to the musician's style, integrating cultural elements into the athletic design. The alternate jersey, meanwhile, features a black base with graphics inspired by sound waves, records, and the island's most cultural musical culture, reinforcing the link between soccer and Jamaica's sonic heritage. The idea is clear: for the jersey to represent not just a team, but an entire culture, incorporating subtle nods to the musician's visual archives and global influence. Both kits include references to the Tough Gong label and the slogan, "Football is Freedom," developed with the foundation serving as the project's conceptual centerpiece. According to the official statement, the creative concept aims to frame soccer as a form of cultural expression and freedom, aligned with Marley's artistic and social vision. That said, the launch goes beyond the sporting arena. The collection includes fashion pieces and products inspired by photographs and archival material from the artist, positioning the project as much a cultural initiative as a soccer one. The collaboration fits into a growing trend in international soccer, where uniforms are becoming tools for storytelling and the construction of national identity through design. Besides, the connection between Marley and soccer is not merely symbolic. It's well documented that the musician was passionate about the sport and played frequently even during tours, reinforcing the cultural coherence of this tribute. The new kits arrive at a key moment for the Reggae Boys, who are aiming to qualify for the 2026 World Cup after decades away from the sport's biggest stage. Jamaica has only played in one World Cup in France in 1998, giving this new cycle added symbolic weight. Now, the team will have to navigate the qualification rounds and potential playoffs to secure a place in the tournament. More than just a jersey, the collection positions itself as a bridge between sport, music, and the creative industries, reinforcing the Jamaican national team's cultural presence on the global stage. Now, a challenge is on the field. The Reggae Boys still need to get through the playoffs to secure a spot in the World Cup, something they haven't achieved in over 20 years. But if they do, they already have a kit that promises to stand out as much as their style of play. Right on. It is a cool looking jersey, and I'm sure their line of apparel is just going to fly off shelves. That's a good running shirt. All right. Woo. Let's see. This coming from High Times magazine. And let's see. What is this? Oh, Cannabis Cup. Oh, that's over. Let's see. I'm just looking at High Times news. All right, there were some other stories that I wanted to get to. Let's see here. Guns and ganja. I was just talking about that. So I wanted to actually read what was going on in the news about guns and ganja. Supreme Court is skeptical of a federal law banning firearm possession for regular marijuana users. See? Oh no. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I think that might be an ad for this. I don't know that we're going to be able to hear it though, because it's not on. Oh yeah, let's close that. It's not on. Okay. The Supreme Court expressed skepticism Monday about the federal government's law banning people with a habitual use of marijuana from legally possessing a firearm, a Second Amendment case that could test the limits of creating exceptions to gun ownership. But in 2 hours of spirited oral arguments over, quote, guns and ganja, quote, several justices, while seeing marijuana smokers as potentially less serious, expressed concern about allowing drug addicts and other illegal substance users who might possess a danger to society to have those weapons. A narrow ruling appears likely and might apply only to the person at the center of the dispute and other regular marijuana users who would not pose a danger to society by having a weapon in their home. At issue is whether the widespread use of cannabis in recent decades, where it is legal in some 40 states, makes criminalizing mere possession contingent on gun ownership. The same law was applied to former President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who was convicted under Section 922G3, which bars, quote, unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance, quote, from possessing a firearm. We'll talk about that in a second. The current case involves a Texas man charged with a felony after FBI agents raided his home and found a handgun. The suspect admitted smoking marijuana every other day. Would he just forget to smoke in between the days? Several on the high court worried about the implications of giving federal prosecutors overly broad discretion to charge someone for being a, quote, drug user, quote, exactly. Quote, we don't even know how the quantity of how much he uses every other day. What if he took one THC laced? That term still cracks me up. Laced gummy bear with a medical prescription, asked Justice Neil Garouche. He had one to help him sleep every other day. Disarm him for life? Quote, it's the lawfulness, said Justice Amy Coney Barrett. With the marijuana, I just makes someone more dangerous. But Chief Justice John Roberts said it was Congress that decided marijuana should be classified as a, quote, controlled substance, quote, despite what other jurisdictions decide. Quote, there's a broad range of determinations like that where we leave the question of its addictive difficulties and the consequences of that to determination by the legislature with the Schedule 1, Schedule 3 illegal drug classifications, and all that in each case. You don't get to reweigh the legislative determination, quote. The Supreme Court in 2022 expanded gun rights, requiring that modern laws have a strong basis in the country's history and traditions. The precedent will be closely considered in the current appeal. Among other things, it's been used to allow people to bring licensed loaded handguns in public under so-called concealed carry laws. But the conservative court has also upheld federal restrictions allowing those under domestic violence restraining orders to be disarmed. Cannabis is illegal at the federal level, but President Trump signed an executive order to speed up the process, reclassifying it as a less dangerous substance. The current administration has supported expanded gun rights, but in this case, it says mixing firearms and controlled substances justifies the current restrictions. Quote, the Second Amendment does not prohibit the government from temporarily disarming habitual marijuana users while they persist in frequent use, quote, Justice Department Attorney Sarah Harris told the court. Quote, that tailored restriction easily fits within the historical tradition of disarming categories of people who present a special danger or misuse, quote. The facts? The case began in August 2022 when federal agents executed a search warrant at the Lewiston, Texas home of Ali Daniel Hamani as part of a broader criminal investigation. He admitted keeping a Glock 9mm pistol, which he purchased legally and kept securely at home. Agents also found approximately 60 grams of marijuana and 4.7 grams of cocaine. All right, do we all see the problem here? Cocaine. Based on these findings, federal prosecutors indicted Hamani, a dual U.S. Pakistani citizen, for violating federal law that criminalizes firearm possession by those with persistent use of a controlled substance, although he was never accused of using the drugs while armed. The case centered on his habitual use of marijuana alone. Hamani faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted. A federal appeals court eventually dismissed the indictment, prompting a Justice Department petition to the High Court. His lawyers said Hamani was being unfairly targeted over gun possession because of unproven terrorist ties and a marijuana habit for which he was never prosecuted. Unproven terrorist ties. Well, a major part of the courtroom public session dealt with how, quote, drug user, quote, should be properly defined and how it could be applied to both gun ownership and possession. Several hypotheticals were raised about whether the federal gun restrictions could include the use of sleeping tablets, anabolic steroids, and Adderall, and amphetamine used to treat ADHD and narcolepsy, and whether they could apply to drug users who are homeless or own cars. What? Garouche suggested that linking historical laws passed at the country's founding restricting gun use for the habitual drunkards to today's marijuana users was not acceptable. He used so-called founding fathers John Adams, James Madison, and Thomas Jefferson as examples of heavy alcohol users. Well, they certainly couldn't drink the water back then. Thomas Jefferson said he wasn't much of an alcohol user. He only had 3 or 4 glasses of wine a night. All right. Are they all habitual drunkards who would be properly disarmed for life under the theory? Garouche asked the government lawyer, "The government has not been able to define what a user is," he added. "I mean, it has said at various points that it's someone who used any illegal drug in the past year, right?" Justice Samuel Alito pushed back, speaking for more than 15 minutes about the difficulty of using a case-by-case approach to prosecute a drug addict under the law. Quote, "I struggle to figure out how these individualized determinations can be made in the context of a criminal prosecution," said Alito. "The way in which criminal prosecutors are conducted makes this extremely difficult. Suppose someone regularly takes a drug, and during that period when this person is taking the drug, that person is super dangerous. The Second Amendment would not permit Congress to say that's too risky." The Hamani case has created unusual legal and political alliances. The National Rifle Association and Gun Owners of America, along with the ACLU and Drug Policy Alliance, are separately supporting the defendant, backing the federal government of a coalition of 19 mostly Democratic-run states led by Illinois, along with the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence. The Supreme Court earlier this term heard a challenge to a Hawaii law that prohibits carrying firearms on private property open to the public with the owner's express permission. The 6-3 conservative majority there appeared ready to strike down that and similar laws. The current case is U.S. versus Hamani 24-1234. A ruling is due by early summer. All right, so here's my little humble opinion. Our laws here in Arizona state that per the state, not the federal, per the state of Arizona, you can have a medical marijuana card and a gun in your possession. It has to be a medical marijuana card. You don't just get to have weed and weapons. It's just not how it works here. If you don't have a medical marijuana card and you have a gun, and you're just cruising around with your weed and your guns, and you get pulled over, you're going to go to jail, and you're going to get in a lot of trouble, and you're going to get in trouble before you have time to even know what's going on. I've told this story several times. I'll tell it again. I got pulled over. It was a very rare situation. I was driving home from Phoenix around midnight, and I got pulled over because, hi, Mama Kitty, I think they saw me smoking the weed in the car. And it was one of those moments where it was a very bad situation. My nerves were shot. I had a 2-hour drive home. I wanted to just relax on the way home, try and calm my nerves. So I smoked some weed in the car. Dumb. I had my guns. Dumb. I had my weed. Dumb. But it was a spur of the moment, quick situation, and I didn't even think about anything that was in my car before I drove somebody to the airport in an emergency, and had to deal with that on my way back. And I got pulled over, and they, I roll the window down. They thought I was a guy at first because I have very short hair and I was wearing a baseball hat, and they thought I was a guy. And they're like, "Excuse me, sir." And I turn and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am." I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. And then they smelled the weed, and they pulled me over because, and I will never let this happen again. There's a light bulb that illuminates your license plate when you drive at night. And mine was out, and that was their excuse to pull me over. They found the good excuse, and they pulled me over. And then they said, "Oh, we smell weed, man. Can you please step out of the car?" And I knew all my rights, 4, 5, and 6 at this point. And I didn't have to. I didn't have to get out of the car. I didn't have to answer questions. I didn't have to let them search. I didn't have to let them do anything per my rights. But I did. I complied. I got out of the car, and then the next thing I knew, two other cars drive up, because you can't just have a pullover without 40 people coming to visit. And I think they said they smelled it, but anyway, said they were going to search my car. And I said, okay. And I was freaking out. It was cold. It was late. I was trying to get home to my dogs. And in the middle of an emergency emotional crisis and didn't even think about having the guns in there. And the cop came back and he was like, why didn't you tell me you had weapons in your car with your weed? And I said, because I didn't think about it. You made me nervous. I'm scared to death standing over here wondering what's happening, what's going on, why you're all searching my car. And he was like, oh, okay. I mean, I was just totally honest the whole time. Why didn't you tell me? Because I forgot. I was panicked in the moment. He's like, okay, that makes total sense. I was freezing my head off. And so I gave them my license, my medical marijuana card. They said, wait right here while we call all of this in. So they called it all in while the other officers were searching and pulling out. I think there were 3 guns and a bunch of weed. Not a bunch, like a quarter. I mean, not a whole lot. 7 grams. A little bit. Enough to smoke. So I'm standing there freaking out. They're searching my car. The other guy's calling it in. And he comes back and he's like, okay, well, it looks like you're good to go. I want to make sure that I put all of your weapons back appropriately and in their right place. He unloaded them military style, put them back in the glove compartment in the center console where he found them before. Made sure to show me that he put my weed back. And I was standing there just jaw dropped, again, in shock. He was giving me back my weapons, giving me back my weed, and basically said to me, they asked me the whole time, what's your medical condition? What do you use marijuana for? Why are you driving around this late at night with weed and weapons in your possession? And he said, look, I understand your medical condition. Leave your weed at home. He's like, just bring your weapons, bring your guns, but don't bring your narcotics. That's what he said. And I had an inside little chuckle about weed being a narcotic. I said, okay, absolutely. You got it. Learned a lesson on that one. So try not to carry weed when there's weapons in the car. But if you're a medical marijuana patient, you are safer than not. And I'm sorry, but, you have to have a license to drive a car. The check you go through just to rent an apartment is obscene. The background checks people go through. But a lot of places, don't do background checks for guns. I mean, you have to here if you go into a registered gun shop. Now, if you're buying privately, you're all on your own. And that's the problem, though. Criminals don't follow rules. And we all know this. Why they're criminals. But if you follow the rules, which I mostly try to do, you can have your guns and your medical marijuana card at the same time. Just try not to drive around with them, seriously, because you don't want to get pulled over with both. It's just not a fun thing. And if you do drive around with them, have a little lock box where you keep these things and keep it in the trunk or in the back seat. There's so many rows of seats now in all these cars. Just keep them back there. So that's my little lecture on weapons and weed. I think that it's super important to be responsible with any medication, anything that can alter your state of mind. So our doctor always warns about driving and having cannabis around pets and animals and kids and things like that. And you should just be cautious for yourself. You might end up taking a little too much weed and go for a ride on the wild side. All righty then. Again, my apologies for being late to the show, but we still got to have one. And I know you're all waiting to find out. Let's see, how many days until Christmas? What is it? We are at 296 days until Christmas, 297 until it's over. Thank you for tuning in to Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. We love you. We love being here, even if we're late. We mostly just love being here. Remember, be smart, be safe, and educate. Yeah. Weedsday Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Belle Star here. We will talk to you later. Hopefully we'll have Cannabis Kid on the show ASAP. Get with the program. Oh, yeah. What other? Oh, here's a dinosaur roar. Oh, that's pretty good. I kind of like that. Ooh. All right, kids. Happy Weedsday Wednesday. Have a great day. We love you. We'll see you next week.